This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Thursday, November 21st. We're almost at the end of the week. I'm here with Al, Brandon, Lindsay, and I'm Tori. Let's get right to it. The impeachment inquiry. Love that graphic. This has reached its third and final day this week on Capitol Hill. Fiona Hill, Dr. Fiona Hill, I should have said, the former White House Russia expert, and David Holmes, who is the counselor for political affairs at the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, are testifying. Get to know them. You're going to see them all day. The hearing is in a recess for a short break right now, but this was from earlier this morning. I want you to look at this moment when David Holmes discussed the president's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani's involvement. Take a look.
My recollection is that Ambassador Sondland stated, quote, "Damn it, Rudy. Every time Rudy gets involved, he goes and F's everything up." Holmes is also testifying about a conversation he overheard between the U.S. ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland, and President Trump. Here's what he had to say about it. Go ahead.
You said that you were able to hear President Trump's voice through the receiver. How were you able to hear if it was not on speakerphone?
When the president came on, he sort of winced and held the phone away from his ear like this. And he did that for the first couple exchanges. I don't know if he then turned the volume down, if he got used to it, if the president's moderated his volume, I don't know. But that's how I was able to hear it.
So the president is now responding, tweeting, "I have been watching people make phone calls my entire life. My hearing is and has been great. Never have I been watching a person make a call which was not on speakerphone and been able to hear or understand a conversation. I've even tried, but to no avail." Just so you know, Mr. Holmes has been saying this for since July, that this was so loud he pulled the phone away. It's all a bit ridiculous. It's all a little silly. I do want to get to something of substance. This is Dr. Fiona Hill instructing the actual committees she's staring at, who are supposed to be asking her questions. Take a look at what she said to them. This is big.
Some of you on this committee appear to believe that Russia and its security services did not conduct a campaign against our country, and that perhaps, somehow, for some reason, Ukraine did. This is a fictional narrative that has been perpetrated and propagated by the Russian security services themselves. The unfortunate truth is that Russia was the foreign power that systematically attacked our democratic institutions in 2016. This is the public conclusion of our intelligence agencies, confirmed in bipartisan congressional reports. It is beyond dispute.
So she basically had to take them to task. It's a pretty dark day to say, some reason Ukraine is the thing you guys keep saying, and Russia is the one that investigated and interfered in our election. How'd you feel she did?
That's fine. She doesn't want Ukraine to be the fall thing for this back and forth.
Not when they're our ally, maybe yeah.
Right, so she's looking at it and she's saying, well, I think that the Republicans are looking at it and saying that they want Trump to look into, they want people to look into
Biden?
Yeah, to Biden and his son. Yeah, they wanted
yeah.
him. So that's the whole point. And no one, I don't think it came out of Trump's mouth that they want them to look into just Biden and his son and look into Ukraine as that. He said, look at Biden and his son and see what they're doing. And that's where he'll get his information and see what that connection was and if there was anything going on that was wrong there. And that's as far as he asked for everybody to go.
Can I speak for our viewers when I just say, and I'm genuinely asking this question, we say that, like, we have a doctor saying that the Russians interfered in our election. That's what we just saw. But we come out of that break and we're talking about Biden.
I know.
How did, like, back up and show me how we got there. Yep. So you saw that clip. Where was your first thought that then connected us to the second thought that got us to Joe Biden's son and not, oh my God, the Russians hacked our election?
They're saying that the connection to Biden would be that he's part of that whole entire scheme with Ukraine, that maybe they had some coercion in our election and there was some undercover incorrect activity going on.
But our intelligence committee
and she's saying that's not the case, but I'm explaining that the case from the Republicans would be just looking to Biden and his son and see what's happening there. That's what the case is, not actually what she is saying right now.
Let her finish. I'm curious. Okay, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, because I was in Brandon. Did you see what I said? We said that the Russian is propagating a narrative that it's Ukraine that's doing this, and we come out of the break and we're talking about Biden. And I think I speak for a lot of viewers where I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I always say if this was a movie, Brandon, and somebody breaks into the president's office and go, the Russians hacked our elections, would the president spin around in the Oval Office and say, investigate my potential opponent's son?
We spent so much time looking into that, though. We did the whole Mueller report. We did that already. That's not what this is actually about. What we're watching. So why would we get into that? And that's even being brought up. That's not what this is about today.
The Intelligence Committee, in a bipartisan, unanimously has said that Russia did interfere with our 2016 election. And for some reason, we're saying Ukraine might have done it. That's not true. They are an ally. So we just want to get that narrative straight. Write us in. It's a good discussion, guys. Let us know. Well, last night, 10 Democratic candidates for president took the stage in Atlanta to debate. You were not one of them, to debate why they're the best choice to run against Donald Trump. The candidates did target one another, like when Mayor Pete Buttigieg criticized Tulsi Gabbard for meeting with the Syrian dictator Assad. These are the only two vets on the entire stage. Take a look at this.
One of the foreign leaders you mentioned meeting was Bashar al-Assad. I have, in my experience, such as it is, whether you think it counts or not, since it wasn't accumulated in Washington, enough judgment that I would not have sat down with a murderous dictator like that.
Another moment that got a lot of people talking was when Senator Amy Klobuchar talked about the double standard that female candidates face. Take a look at this.
Women are held to a higher standard. Otherwise, we could play a game called Name Your Favorite Woman President, which we can't do because it has all been men, including all vice presidents being men. And I think any working woman out there, any woman that's at home, knows exactly what I mean. We have to work harder, and that's a fact.
Wow. Finally, former VP Joe Biden is being criticized for his choice of words when talking about ending domestic violence. Watch carefully.
No man has a right to raise a hand to a woman in anger other than in self-defense, and that's rarely ever occurs. And so we have to just change the culture, period, and keep punching at it and punching at it and punching at it.
He missed that mark, Al. Absolutely missed that mark. This guy continues to misstep or misspeak every single debate we get to see him. And we didn't play any Cory Booker footage.
He did very well. He did very well.
He does well every time he's on that stage. He's talking about transformative change when we're talking about America. He talks about not just only talking about taxing wealth, but teaching people how to create their own wealth. And he had a moment when he called out Joe Biden for not wanting to legalize marijuana, and Creepy Joe sounded like that old guy that we don't want or need in the presidential seat anymore, because he's talking about marijuana's the gateway drug. We've thrown that out a long time ago.
He also said incorrectly that there was one African-American female senator, and of course Kamala Harris said, I'm on the stage and I'm the other one. Big missteps there. I'm looking for someone to just be good in a debate, because I'll literally, I just look to anyone to beat Trump, and I did not think Joe Biden. I thought Mayor Pete did well. What did you think?
I thought Joe Biden ran his same routine, right? So so he's like banking on being the national favorite. But I don't think that's going to work moving forward as the debate starts to wind down. I think Buttigieg played well off of his moment, right? He knows that he's growing in Iowa popularity, so he's kind of was using that moment and attacked Tulsi Gabbard, which was an interesting choice. And then Amy Klobuchar, who was completely off the radar for me and not even part of this whole entire conversation, stepped up, and maybe she won't get kicked out of the runnings now. I don't know.
Interesting.
But it was just kind of stagnant.
Little flat.
And I wanted to get you guys' opinion. What do you think is a good number for us to have a debate where people can talk and have more than just like one talking point and get? I feel like maybe
like
four.
Yeah, four. Like right here.
Is the magic number?
10. Yeah, it can't be 10. It's too much.
Until we start talking impeachment, I just sit and don't say anything.
You look good, though. You look very good. All right, DBL is live and coming up. A child's unsolved murder is getting a closer look. Could she have been Ted Bundy's first kill? The absolutely shocking connection in today's True Crime Chronicles. And you, the viewer, you're our fifth host. We don't pay. One salon is making silent appointments a thing. So what do you think? Is it rude to ask your hairdresser not to talk? We share your comments coming up next.
This Friday on DBL. The competition is fierce as all 8 hosts take on each other in the first ever DBL feud.
I may be expecting a boy, but I ain't expecting to lose.
Oh! On one side, Sam's Club. On the other, Jay's Crew.
Playing my favorite show in the world.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Double Dare's Mark Summers hosts the DBL feud Friday.
Hi DBL Nation, happy Thursday. We are almost to Friday here at DBL. We've got a really exciting show today. We've got Melissa Rivers on the show. Big day today here at Daily Blast Live. I'm a little nervous about it actually. But hey, we've also got really exciting news. Our Sandals Vacation, we have picked a winner and you can find out on November 26th who that winner is. It's really exciting. You guys have been submitting your answers for weeks now. So we do have a person who's winning that 3-night 4-day vacation, and you can pick any Sandals resort you want, which is pretty wild. I'm trying to think about where I would go. Probably go to like Puerto Rico or like the Dominican Republic or something like that. Somewhere where there's a beach, of course. You have to go somewhere where there's a beach. But DBL Nation, you have to tune in on November 26th when we announce the winner because it could be you. Now let's go to the desk and see what our hosts are chatting about. Hi, Tori.
We set up our own intelligence community, which is.
I see you with the walk-off home run.
What's happening up here, Tori?
John Venturini says debates.
To Prince Andrew.
Oh God.
It's okay.
Guys, did you know?
Let's talk about him now.
He was stripped of his royal duties.
Resign.
So no more $320,000 a year.
The crazy part about that is that's the first time the
who's his mother, chided him badly.
And here's the thing, Al, because I talk about, I liken this to sports. I liken this to the NFL, where we always say you're never bigger than the logo. And he said it himself that this is a major disruption to my family's work. And this is an NFL organization. This is the Royals. You know, so he has to step down in the wake of that interview was terrible.
You get stripped of your duties. You don't get your $320,000 you said.
Tomorrow on DBL. The competition is fierce as all 8 hosts take on each other in the first ever DBL feud.
I may be expecting a boy, but I ain't expecting to lose.
Oh! On one side, Sam's Club. On the other, Jay's Crew.
Playing my favorite show in the world.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Double Dare's Mark Summers hosts the DBL feud tomorrow.
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for fifth host when we talk about what you're talking about or what you're not talking about. Huh? Wait till you see why that worked. We've all been there in the salon, chair ready to get your hair cut, and your hairdresser won't stop talking. A salon in London has a solution to that. At no extra charge, clients can now opt into a so-called quiet trim. The owner says it's okay to want some quiet time. So DBL Nation, would you want a silent haircut?
All right, Stephanie from Facebook says, I I really love my chats with my hairdresser. And Stephanie, I agree. My hairdressers are like my therapist. In every city that I've lived in, we have long conversations. I tell them all my drama.
But
they
how
tell me
deep do you
theirs.
get, though? Do
We
you
get really deep, like
you're there for some hours.
Like, oh my
No,
God.
because women are there for a
What
long
should I
time.
do?
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I would miss this if they just were silent. That would get real awkward for me.
Okay.
You must not have a hairdresser here because you're using me to tell me.
Yeah, I don't have one
all
yet.
things. All right.
But Jeray
Let me
might
know.
be.
Okay. Melissa from Facebook says, I hate getting my hair cut for this reason. I used to only tip my stylist if they weren't trying to pry into my life and ask me 20 questions. Melissa, I feel you, because we have this thing in the black community, the barber shop, where our barbers will talk your head off. And not only will I would tip him, I would tip the entire barber shop to stop talking. Just line me up,
it's a thing.
Get me fresh, and let me go on about my business.
So you like the silent idea?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Silent Uber, silent barbers.
Wow. Okay. I do like talking sports sometimes, but I feel you 100%.
Sometimes.
Shanta from Facebook says, I don't mind chatter during a haircut, but when I'm at the spa, please zip it. Shanta, I'd agree with you on that. I don't go to the spa a lot, but I just, you know, in these times with these things, everybody, you're constantly thinking about things, phone calls, texts. I can understand where somebody would be like, I would like 40 minutes to just sit and kind of gather my thoughts, and it seems like a haircut is a perfect time to do that. So I'm down with a little pleasant chat because I see my barber a lot, but I wouldn't mind like a good 15-minute block of silence. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, just organize it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for what time is quiet time and what time is chat time?
You kind of do that, hey, what's up? Yeah, everything's good. Just got back from Phoenix. And then kind of just like let the conversation simmer out. Yeah, simmer until there's nothing. Yeah.
And then you just hear snip.
Yeah.
Meg from Facebook says, I really don't care to have conversations with my hairstylist. However, if I were to choose a silent haircut, I'd probably be a chatterbox. I think you're saying you would do the opposite of what I see you're saying.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea because all you want is your client to be happy. So if your client just wants some quiet time, why not do that, get more productive, and have a better tip? I think it's a fabulous idea. Sometimes I just don't want to talk. Can you believe it?
I think it's okay.
Can you believe that?
One of those days. You're never here for those days.
I thought you were going to say you love chatting with your hairdresser.
I do, and girls, women have like 4-hour conversations because we have to dye and all that stuff. So you get deep. I agree with you. But sometimes I need to stop talking.
Yeah,
like right now. Coming up on DBL, could Ted Bundy be responsible for a murder no one has ever solved? The haunting new discovery in today's True Crime Chronicles.
My gender is greater than the toys that I play with or the activities that I engage in. My gender transcends all of those things. I mean, it really is my sense of self. I always knew that I was female. I always knew that I was a girl.
We're going to just keep talking about the fifth host. We were kind of having a conversation here about how we don't think this would work in a black beauty salon.
What would you say your average time from when you walk into the barbershop to when you walk out is, as opposed to you?
About
average time.
25 to 35 minutes.
Mine is minimum
Move on to the
2.5
phone call.
hours.
Let's do that.
And maybe if it's a good day,
really great way
2 hours, hour 45, fasting.
Because no one wants to hear
I've never been in there shorter than that.
I got stuff to do.
Your hair looks great.
That's like you say, as a sympathy, I can't believe
It does, but yeah,
How long do you spend? I spend at least 2 hours in the hair salon.
Okay, so I got my hair done.
We said, what's the average time from when you walk into the door
Like
to when you walk
3.5 hours.
That's
average. Sometimes I spend 5. Because I got extensions, color, cut, then they have to tone, and it takes a while to get the colors to sit for half an hour. Here's the thing though, they were out of wine. Usually it helps because you're just sitting there, kind of bored.
Well, you can go to faster ones like Dry Bar and things like that, but I just think the quality, it just changes if you sit down with somebody who's going to take up the time to dye in, and Dry Bar's kind of like in and out, so there are options, but that would still take like an hour.
Man.
You guys hate this life. What if you grew out your hair? You would have to go get your locks retwisted, or that would. I'm not doing all I'm saying if you ever did, you're friends with hair.
Welcome back to DBL. Ted Bundy, one of the world's most notorious serial killers, is being linked to a decades-old cold case. Anne Marie Burr vanished in 1961, but could she be Ted Bundy's first victim? We have a look at the startling discovery in DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
Marie Burr was a young, radiant girl living in Tacoma, Washington.
Anne Marie Burr managed to capture the love and admiration of family, friends, even strangers she never met.
At just 8 years old, she vanished from her home.
They never found anything, not a thing, not a trail, not a speck of anything.
Sandy Holt grew up in Tacoma and knew Anne Marie, as well as Ted Bundy.
He always lied. I mean, always.
Bundy, one of the most notorious serial killers and rapists, lived just blocks from Anne at the time of her disappearance. He was 14 and had played with Anne as a kid.
Horrible. There's no other way to explain him. He didn't fit in anywhere.
Could Anne Marie Burr be Ted Bundy's first victim? Police say evidence collected at Anne's house here so many years ago is limited because of methods investigators used back then. But King 5 News has learned that recently police have sent some of that evidence to the lab to be tested, hoping new technology can finally help solve this case.
King 5 News' Greg Copeland spoke with true crime author Rebecca Morris, who's been investigating the Anne Marie Burr and Ted Bundy link for years.
In 1986, Ted had told this story about this hypothetical first crime of his, of murdering a child.
Especially at first. He told that story to a serial killer researcher in a prison interview.
He told the story about this early crime of taking a child out of her house, taking her to the orchard next door, and molesting her, and then leaving her in a ditch.
Anne's family lived next to the University of Puget Sound campus, where several buildings were under construction at the time.
Anne's father went back to the house and told the police, "You've got to go up there and look at those construction sites because there are all these ditches." And in fact, he and his brother had seen a teenager standing at one of the ditches and kind of kicking the dirt in with his feet.
By the time police went back, everything was paved over.
Ted Bundy was executed at 4:16 Seattle time.
Bundy was executed in 1989. He eventually confessed to at least 30 victims.
I just knew that he was the one that got rid of her somewhere.
Although he's now dead, 25 years later, a crack at new technology could bring closure to the Burr family.
Earlier, co-host Sam, Jeff, and Lindsay spoke with the reporter who helped cover this Tacoma cold case. Take a look.
We are joined by anchor and reporter Greg Copeland from our sister station, King 5 News in Seattle. So, Greg, you and producer Tess Wagner investigated this, and we want to know what prompted Tacoma police to reopen Anne's case, and how long will this testing take?
We don't know at this point. And think about it was a cold case. So basically, they shelve these cases that they can't solve, and usually they will come back to them when they either have some new evidence or a new way to test that evidence. But at this point, Tacoma police are being fairly tight-lipped about exactly what led to them retesting this evidence.
Greg, I have so many questions, but Anne's parents are no longer alive, but you spoke to her brother who was just 5 years old at the time. What does he think of all this?
He's at peace with this. Obviously, when you have a tragedy like this, you're going to compartmentalize, and he's found a way to make peace with us, knowing that she is in heaven with their parents. So I can't help but think that if they were able to connect all the dots here and provide some closure, if they can figure out exactly that Bundy was responsible for this, you know, just to be able to close that case.
And Anne's mom wrote Ted in jail asking if he killed her daughter. He denied it, and you had a chance to look at those letters. Was there anything else that he wrote that you found shocking?
Boy, those letters, in both of them, they're fascinating to go through because we know so much about Bundy, but there's so much we don't know. And the way he even signed his letters, you know, Peace, Ted, was eerie enough. The last letter that I was reading was one that she had written in '86, right after pretty much he had exhausted every effort to his stay of executions, and they had moved it up, and she had written him in between those two, basically pleading, like, listen, we know what you told investigators, please, and she wrote in detail about that night her daughter disappeared and how he might have gotten in there based on a story he had told a serial killer researcher, and she basically threw that right back at him and saying, please, you gave up all these details, you're going to be executed, please, before you are, let us know. And as we know, He really denied all of the murders up until the very end, right before he was to be executed, admitted 30 that we know of.
Right.
And there are some questions as to whether there are more. I mean, he talked and hinted at a couple before the first known murder that he admitted to in 1974, hinted at one in 72, another one in 73, but this would go back even further if they were to link to Burr to 1961 when he was just 14 years old.
Being a mother myself, I can't even imagine her just like begging to get some sort of closure from him. I hope that they find the truth. I hope that they find justice. I mean, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. So thank you so much. To read more on this case, go to king5.com. We will be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
This November, DBL is better than ever.
Oh, we're gonna go with that.
Don't miss a minute of Daily Blast Live.
Okay, all right.
Hey guys, welcome back to Beauty Blast. Now, I'm your boy Jeray Banks, your guy with everything you need for all your fashion and beauty tips. However, today, I'm coming at you with a red light beauty tip that everyone needs, okay? Now, you know, it's always that moment when you're doing your mascara's in your hand, you just finished your eyeshadow, right? You're going ahead and you're applying that beautiful last coat of mascara and bam! You just stamped yourself right on the skin. Honey, you only have 15 minutes until you have to be to work and you have this huge black blob all over your eye. What is a person to do? Now I know, typically we'd panic. We'd go ahead and get the makeup wipe, undo everything, re-wipe it off and just start all over. But we don't always have time to do that. Now, I happen to deal with this a lot right here at Daily Blast Live. I know this is such a flattering look, right? Take it all in, honey. But we deal with this all the time here at DBL. And your girl Tori Schulman happens to be quite the culprit when it comes to stamping herself with a low mascara. But we never go straight to it. We take a little patience and a little prayer and we wait for just a moment. Now you wanna let this dry for about 30 seconds before you go to town with it. Now, when you're going back to help yourself relieve yourself from this moment, you're going to need a Q-tip and a little compact mirror. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be all crazy, guys. Now, I think my friend here has another 10 seconds or so. So let's think about what would have happened if we didn't let this dry down. We'd go straight to her eye and we'd smear this mascara all over. Now you're going to be 30 minutes late for your job just because you stamped your eye a little bit too hard there. But don't worry, your luscious lashes do not have to fall victim to your own mistakes. Instead, take that Q-tip. We've let this dry for about 30 seconds now, and your mascara should peel right off, my friends. Yes. Did you see that? Gone, my friend. It's that simple, and it doesn't have to be that crazy. So next time this happens to you, don't be doing your mascara in the car, of course, but make sure you have a couple Q-tips on hand and just peel that pesky stamp right away and you'll be good to go. Now, for more Beauty Blast tips, make sure you're following here at Daily Blast Live or follow me at Jeray for the Slay. There we go, guys. We'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
This November, DBL is better than ever. Our DBL hosts get personal in a DBL feud showdown. Erica makes her music video debut.
You got it. Take a deep breath.
Let's do this.
Brandon gets emotional, paying it forward.
You don't want any family to go through that, you know?
And DBL gets fit in our weight loss challenge.
Are you sure you are ready for this?
Oh, yes, I am.
And that's just the beginning of what's happening on Daily Blast Live this November. We never stop talking about what you're talking about.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. And John Vent, do you have any?
No.
I didn't think you did.
He's playing
John?
Candy Crush.
He was playing Candy Crush.
I saw my name up there. I was like, oh no.
What level are you on in Candy Crush?
I don't play that. No disrespect.
I'm not kidding. I'm on 391 and I'm like really into it.
I had to
How many levels are there?
Friends.
I think there's not an end.
Wow,
Yes.
infinity levels.
All right, what were you saying?
Sorry, John Venturini said, debates with 6 or more are just ridiculous. Find your leading quartet, great word, and have your debate around those 4.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's just too many.
Do you
too
ever
many
use the word
cooks in the
quartet
kitchen.
without a barbershop before?
Oh yeah, a quartet, a string quartet.
Okay, there you go.
Cool. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow.
Thank you.